Imagine a place that held all the knowledge of the ancient world. A lighthouse of intellect, shining brightly for centuries, drawing the greatest minds like moths to a flame. This wasn't a fantasy. It was the great Library of Alexandria. But today, it's gone, vanished into the mists of history, leaving us with one of the most tantalizing mysteries of all time. What happened to it? And more importantly, what did we lose when it disappeared? Let's travel back in time to uncover the story of the Library of Alexandria, a tale of ambition, genius, and tragic loss. Our story begins in the 4th century BC with none other than Alexander the Great. As he conquered vast swaths of territory, his vision wasn't just about military might. He dreamed of a world where Greek culture and knowledge would merge with the wisdom of the East. After his death, his empire was carved up among his generals. One of them, Ptolemy I Soter, took control of Egypt. He established his new capital in the city Alexander had founded, Alexandria. It was here, on the shores of the Mediterranean, that Ptolemy and his son, Ptolemy II, embarked on a project of unprecedented scale. Inspired by Aristotle's own library in Athens, they envisioned a center for learning that would eclipse all others. This wasn't just going to be a collection of books. It was to be a universal repository of human knowledge. They founded the Museum, or Institution of the Muses, a research institute that included lecture halls, gardens, a zoo, and most famously, the library itself. The mission was simple, yet audacious. Collect a copy of every single scroll in the known world. The Ptolemies were obsessed. Royal agents were sent across the Mediterranean and the Middle East with vast sums of money to buy scrolls. They didn't just buy them, they took them. A famous policy dictated that any ship docking in Alexandria's harbor had to surrender its books. The originals were kept for the library, and a freshly made copy was returned to the owner. This might seem like state-sanctioned piracy, and it was, but it shows how serious they were. There's even a story about Ptolemy III tricking Athens into lending him the precious original manuscripts of the great tragedians Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. He kept the originals and sent back copies, forfeiting the massive security deposit he had paid. The library grew at an astonishing rate. At its peak, estimates suggest it held anywhere from 40,000 to a staggering 400,000 papyrus scrolls. Each scroll was like a chapter of a book today, so a single work might span many scrolls. To manage this ocean of information, they needed a new system. This is where a man named Callimachus comes in. He was a poet and a scholar, and he created a 120-volume catalog that organized the entire collection by subject and author. This was essentially the world's first library card catalog, a revolutionary invention that laid the groundwork for how we organize information even today. The library wasn't just a warehouse for scrolls. It was a bustling intellectual hub. Scholars from all over the Hellenistic world flocked to Alexandria, supported by the Ptolemaic dynasty. They were given stipends, free meals, and lodging, with only one job: to study. And what minds they were. Eratosthenes, the head librarian who calculated the circumference of the earth with astonishing accuracy using just sticks, shadows, and trick. Euclid, the father of geometry, whose Elements was the standard textbook for 2,000 years. Hero of Alexandria, an inventor who created the first known steam engine, automated doors, and vending machines. Archimedes, the genius of physics and engineering, is said to have studied here. In medicine, doctors like Herophilus performed the first scientific dissections of human bodies, revolutionizing our understanding of anatomy. The intellectual output was simply staggering. They mapped the stars, translated texts, debated philosophy, and pushed the boundaries of science. So, if this place was so incredible, what happened to it? This is where the story gets complicated, and the single, dramatic image of a great fire burning everything at once starts to fall apart. The decline of the Library of Alexandria wasn't a single event, but a slow, painful death by 1,000 cuts, spanning several centuries. The first major blow came in 48 BC. Julius Caesar was in Alexandria, embroiled in a civil war against his rival Pompey's brother, besieged in the harbor. Caesar's forces set fire to enemy ships. According to some ancient accounts, the fire spread from the docks and accidentally destroyed a significant portion of the library, or at least a large warehouse nearby that stored scrolls destined for it. While this was a major setback, it wasn't the end. The library continued to function. In fact, Mark Antony later gifted Cleopatra 200,000 scrolls from the Library of Pergamum to help replenish the collection. The real decline began with a series of political and economic problems. Later Ptolemaic rulers were less enlightened than their predecessors. In 145 BC, Ptolemy VIII, in a fit of paranoia and political purging, expelled all foreign scholars from Alexandria. This brain drain was catastrophic. The vibrant intellectual community that had been the heart and soul of the library was shattered. The institution became more of a teaching school than a cutting-edge research center. Then came the Romans. As Roman power grew, Alexandria's importance as an independent capital waned. Funding for the library and the museum likely dwindled. The city itself became a hotspot of civil unrest. There were clashes between different ethnic and religious groups, Greeks, Jews, and Egyptians. A significant and possibly final chapter in the library's destruction occurred in 272 AD. The Roman Emperor Aurelian was retaking the city from the Palmyrene Empire. During the fighting, the neighborhood where the main library was located, the Bruchion, was almost completely destroyed. Many historians believe that whatever remained of the Great Library was likely obliterated in this conflict. But there was a daughter library, a smaller offshoot located in the Temple of Serapis, known as the This collection survived and carried on the legacy for a while longer. However, its end was also violent. In 391 AD, the Roman Empire had become Christian. Theophilus, the bishop of Alexandria, a zealous man, saw pagan temples as a threat. With the emperor's permission, he led a mob that destroyed the While it's debated how many scrolls were still there at the time, this event is often seen as the symbolic final nail in the coffin for Alexandria's legacy of classical learning. The age of open inquiry was being replaced by an age of rigid religious dogma. So, what did we lose? The simple answer is, we'll never truly know. And that's the tragedy. We've lost countless works of literature, history, and science. We know of a 30-volume history of the world by a Babylonian priest named Bir, the complete works of many Greek playwrights, of whom we now only have fragments. We lost Aristotle's own collection of writings, which were said to be different from the lecture notes that survived. We lost astronomical charts that might have contained centuries of observations, medical texts detailing procedures we had to rediscover, and engineering blueprints for machines we can only dream of. Imagine how different our world might be if that knowledge had survived. Would the scientific revolution have happened 1,000 years earlier? Would we have a more complete and nuanced understanding of the ancient world, free from the biases of the few texts that happened to make it? The loss of the Library of Alexandria is not just about lost books. It's about a lost timeline, a different path humanity could have taken. The story of the library is a powerful cautionary tale. It shows how fragile knowledge can be, how easily it can be wiped out by war, political instability, neglect, and intolerance. It reminds us of the immense value of preserving and sharing information. Today, our libraries are not just buildings, but vast digital networks. We face new challenges: link rot, data degradation, misinformation. The spirit of the Library of Alexandria lives on in every library, every university, every scientific journal, and every click we make to learn something new. Its memory is a call to action to be vigilant, guardians of our collective knowledge, to ensure that no great fire, literal or metaphorical, ever plunges us into darkness again. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this exploration of lost history, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time!